What's up, you guys? Welcome back to WideBody Nation. California has officially done it. They have banned the sale of gas-powered vehicles in their state, specifically by the year 2035. And hey, they have got a long way to go. They just now passed the bill that's going to take them from 12% zero emission vehicles all the way to 100% in 2035. And as you guys can see on the screen, 2026 and 2030 are some critical checkpoint years where they're really going to have to evaluate how this plan goes. Because, folks, they've got three main reasons why this is. I'm not going to say it's impossible because they can force this to happen, but the amount of negative effects on the population and the state and the country could outweigh the alleged gains of pollution and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so folks, stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn that subscribe button from red to gray. Hit the like button while you're down there, and in the comments, let me know what you guys think of this. I won't tell you my opinion on it yet, but you guys probably know what I think about this. So, number one is the cost of electric cars right now is, let's see what the average is. The cost of an average electric car, an average normal person car is $43,000, 43 to 44. The average cost of an electric car, I've seen multiple sources. I've seen anywhere from 62 to 66 grand. Now, yes, a lot of car companies release their most expensive models and the newest technology first with these EVs. Yeah, okay, I understand that gas cars, decades and decades and decades ago were also comparatively expensive as well. But the cost of these EVs is driving up the price of average cars and is obviously an extra 20 to 22 grand more than your average vehicle. So automakers have 12, 13 years to get these costs down, or at least meet in the middle somewhere, because most people are not going to be able to afford one, or because you got to remember, a lot of households, if there's two adults living there, that we're not even talking about kids who can drive, need two cars, right? Because they're driving the kids around and they're driving to work, or maybe they both work and they also have to drive the kids around. So it's not just one car that costs 62 to 66 grand. It's two cars, most likely. Most cars are two car households or more. So the cost of these EVs is going to be prohibitive, and it's going to make it hard for them to achieve these metrics. Now, again, if they want to ram this through, automakers and California's government could comply 100%. It's just going to push people in state and out of state to buy cars not in California. Now, that brings up the second issue. If let's say the perfect world, California goes through with this, right? If California goes through and automakers comply and the government has no problem implementing this and it's not found to be unconstitutional or illegal or anything like that, then, or any regulatory issues, then presumably wouldn't people who either want a gas-powered car just because they want a gas-powered car, or people who could not financially afford the EVs for whatever reason it is, wouldn't they just go out of state to Nevada or to, name the state, Washington, Oregon, or have a car shipped in? Wouldn't they just do that? Well, I foresee that California, especially if people are not complying and they're just buying gas-powered cars out of state like I just outlined, they're going to start making rules where you can no longer register new gas-powered cars in state as well. Because let's face it, if you buy a car out of state, you're going to have to register it in the state where you live unless you have any other legal way or reason to register it in a different state. And so California may push states or push their citizens in between a rock and a hard place and basically force them to get an EV, because if they don't let you register, tax tag title, they don't let you register that car and title it and everything in that state where you live and have your address, then you are out of luck. At that point, you have to buy an EV, or you're going to have to ride a bike or take public transportation or carpool where you're never the driver. So, first of all, we have the price. Second of all, we have the legislation, and they would have to do some pretty aggressive, dare I even call it draconian additional laws in order to really make this happen, in my opinion. Now, the third issue that California and more states are going to have with this is, the reason I bring up more states, and I'll talk about this more at the end, but there are approximately 15 states that also tend to adopt California's insert your opinion here emission standards and other environmentally friendly standards, okay? But the third main reason why California and these other states are going to have a problem implementing this by 2035 is because the EV charging grid, whether you're talking about physical chargers themselves, whether you're talking about the maintenance on these vehicles, because it's different maintenance than a normal car, or you're talking about the actual power grid. Like, can the power grid support houses and factories and everything, as well as, you know, hundreds of thousands and millions of cars, depending on the state, plugging in constantly, needing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of insert your electric unit of measure here, because I'm not a nerd and I don't own a Tesla yet. But if people are drawing significant, I want to say it's amperage off the system just to charge their 2 or 3 EVs, and then they go out and they charge it at work, those cars are always going to be plugged in, folks, right? Because no one with an EV wants the mileage anxiety of getting down to the last little, the last 10, 20 miles. I feel like EV people charge their vehicles more as well. So the infrastructure is going to have to catch up, and that's just not going to be, the infrastructure is not just being like, oh, U.S. government, can you guys please pass an infrastructure bill, please? Thank you. No, this is going to have to be like real deal private and publicly traded companies lacing up and investing in mega, like a Shell station. Shell stations would need to have EV charging locations just like they have gas pumps. We're talking that level of infrastructure here. We're not just talking about, oh, I go to Target and, oh yeah, good, there's a Tesla charger open. Like, your work will need EV chargers there, or there will need to be fast chargers as much as there are gas stations, presumably, right? Because it's going to be 100% of cars sold in 2035, folks. With that being said, my opinion of all this is that it's putting the cart before the horse. These other states, all notice all these states here. They all just happen to be of the same flavor flav. Very, very intelligent states, in my opinion. And I grew up in one of these states. I grew up in Maryland, but can't say I agree with how they legislate or how they regulate vehicles and are environmentally friendly. Okay, so these states probably going to adopt a similar thing to California, because California leads the way, and et cetera, et cetera. So you're looking at 11% of domestic sales, 6%, 2%, another 4% here, 3.5%. I mean, you're looking at, that's not half the U.S. That probably adds up to about a third of the U.S. So about a third of the U.S. is going to go ahead and adopt this banana land policy for 2035. I mean, if these people were really committed to taking care of the environment, wouldn't they be focusing more on what these electric cars are powered from? Coal burning, gas burning, all these type of big power plants. This energy isn't coming out of the ether. It's not coming from like this magical energy tree. The energy for your electric car comes from somewhere. The cobalt, the lithium, all the precious metals for your electric car, they come from places that let's just say it's not they're not getting paid $18 an hour to just like sit on their phone and do nothing. We're talking about I'm not going to say the word because it might get the video flagged, but we're talking about some questionable labor practices. And yeah, it's not in the United States. It's probably in some of the places where you guys have never been. And if you have been there, change my mind. But most of you guys, you sit on your couch and you're like, oh, I think the world should be like this. But you've never been to a third world country. You've never even been to a second world country, So I've been a few places. The Army was kind enough to send me on a little sandy vacation over to a couple countries, which I'm not going to say because it's probably going to get this video demonetized. But when you see how other countries live and what our needs, what our needs for our social justice, environmental justice, is, you start thinking that maybe we should do a little bit more here. And hey, this just in. We can build nuclear power plants in the United States. My dad worked in a nuclear power plant when he was younger. And maybe you guys will say in the comments, oh, that's why you're such an idiot. Your dad has worked in a nuclear power plant. Now you're just turning out an idiot, and you're saying all this dumb stuff on YouTube. But hey, jump in the comments, roast me up below, because you guys know more than I do. Obviously, I'm the one who's been around the world a few times. Like, obviously, I don't know anything, right? And these new cars, it's not like my wife's RAV4 gets 30 miles a gallon on regular gas and doesn't really need that much maintenance. It's a Toyota. It's going to live for 10, 20, 30 years, and that's much more environmentally friendly than me going and getting a brand new Tesla Model S Plaid that took multiple different countries' questionable labor practices to mine a bunch of precious earth minerals out of the ground under mountains, But hey, I'm just here, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me know if you guys are from one of these very, big brain states like California or any state on this list. I'm not saying that you agree with this personally, but if you guys do, and that's why you live in one of these states, then more power to you. I'm a big fan of Tennessee. We got no emissions here in Tennessee, and I intend to stay here as long as that is the case. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe if you care. If you don't care, then probably shouldn't be subscribed. Stay tuned for the next one, and stay safe out there, folks. See you for the next video.